I'm making this video because I was molested when I was a kid. Um, where do I begin? A lot of information to give out and a very short time. So basically, I was about 7 years old. I'm 30 years old now. So this happened 23 years ago. What's the goal of this video and so forth is to make sure this doesn't happen to any more children. It's happened to another child besides me that I know of, and with all the evidence added together, most likely happened to more children. And the whole purpose of this is to make sure this man does not do it anymore. So let me start with the basics. Where did it happen? It happened in Sacramento, California, in the Romanian Pentecostal community. That's where I was going to church at the time. It did not happen in the church. It happened at the person's home, the man's home. Why do I mention the Romanian Pentecostal community? Because it's important for people that have knowledge of this. It has nothing to do with me being against the religion. I am not. I'm a Christian myself. I don't go to the Romanian church anymore, but it has nothing to do with that. This kind of depravity it passes culture, religion, geographical location. I mean, it's everywhere. It's sickening and it's everywhere. So it has nothing to do with that. I'm saying it for the purpose of knowing, for the people that need to know, so they know who this man is. I'm not trying to blow up and cause chaos. I'm trying to bring a man to justice because the evidence is overwhelming, not just my case but another case. So getting to the point. So when I was approximately 7 years old, my parents dropped me off at this man's house. This man had 2 daughters at the time. We were swimming in the kiddie pool. We ended up back in his bed. His daughters were around there too. I was in my underwear. He was in his underwear. Actually his Speedos. He kept coercing me to remove my underwear. I didn't want to. He kept saying, "Come on, dude, it's okay. I have one too. I have one too." I wouldn't do it, and he ended up removing his Speedos and showing me his penis. That's the extent I remember. Beyond that, I don't remember anything. Like, I black out. I looked into that. What does that mean? It could mean a number of things. Maybe something else happened beyond that. Maybe it didn't, and I'm just, for whatever reason, I found it to be traumatic, and I don't want to remember. It's not that I don't want to. I want to, but it's psychologically, I don't know how these things work, but it's been proven. I looked into it. I'm not the only case. So that's as far as I remember. And I know I said molested. That is the definition of molestation. There's different degrees, obviously. That was my story. So that happened. Years down the line now, I blocked this out completely. I didn't want to deal with it at all in my childhood, and then in my 20s I started to have glimpses of it in my memory, and I just shut down. I mean, I didn't want to even think about something like this because I thought about the ramifications of me doing anything in the first place. Well, I came to a point in my life recently where the good Lord had mercy on me and opened my eyes to a lot of my issues that I have, and working on them. And then this was another thing that was brought forward in my mind, and I couldn't let it go. And I didn't want to. I still struggling to do something about it. And what happened was, it recently came into my knowledge, fact from a source in the family where this happened to, that another boy was molested by this man, and a very close relative of his. I'm not gonna say if it was a cousin, a son, whatever. I don't want to give too much away, but the fact of the matter is, it's a fact that he molested this boy, and they think they covered it up. Who this man is, and I'm gonna give very minimal information. So if you were a victim of his, that's who I want to recognize who this man is, so that way they can step forward and you'll know. So he was a very prominent singer in the Romanian Pentecostal Christian Church. His name was David, first name David. He involved his family in singing. He was very passionate about his singing. He sang in church a lot. He involved his daughters and so forth. So you'll know him. You know, if you were in the community, you were there at the time, you'll know who he is. The purpose of this is that if there's other victims out there, that you step forward. I mean, I beg you, I implore you to step forward, because we need to stop this. And stop it how? This man, because of what he did to me, that's one case. Because of what he did to this other boy. And when it happened, it was actually approximately 17 years later. So you put those two things together, that means this man never stopped. And this man most likely had occasions of, you know, where he did stuff like this to other kids. And he had access to kids, that's not a problem. He's not in the Romanian community anymore, in the Christian community. He goes to an American Christian church now. I mean, this would be long if I started explaining the detail how many places I've gone, who I've talked. It's been a long process, a crazy process, and for me to get to this point. But I believe that we need to stand up for what is right, and what is right is not even about us anymore. You know, I've had healing from this. I forgive the man. You know, I don't hold hate towards him, nothing. But we cannot let him harm any more innocent children, or the possibility of him harming them, because it's not up to us to decide these things, you know. That being said, I confronted him, no remorse whatsoever. I confronted the man, no remorse whatsoever. His wife was there at the time, because she was involved in this whole cover-up they did, and a big blow-up in their family, and it's very sad. It's very sad. I believe, honestly, maybe somewhere inside they believe that them scolding him or whatever they did will stop him, but the fact of the matter is there's too much evidence to the contrary, and there's other kids that are in his pathway, and I for one don't want to stand by and let him have access. I can't have that kind of knowledge and know that there's kids there and me not doing nothing about it. I believe that's a calling for all of us, especially if you're a Christian, and even if you're not. I mean, it has nothing. If you're a Christian, especially if you're a Christian, but it's pure humanity, number one. I mean, we cannot stand as adults, as people with this kind of knowledge, and let a grown man harm children like this, because sexually, of course, he harms them, emotionally, mentally, the damage it does for the rest of their life. That's, you know, that's beyond words. So that's the purpose of this, that people would step forward, whoever knows about this man or whoever was victimized by him, that you would step forward and speak up. You know, I know it's hard. It was some of the hardest things I've ever had to do was do this, but it is the right thing. I have a card. I've already reported to the police. It was a long process, but besides my case itself, it's not going to do anything. You know, the other boy that was involved, he will not step forward. He's too close to the situation. I believe the poor young man has been brainwashed. He's a victim of this depravity. So it's up to anybody else that's out there, along with me, to step forward and try to do the right thing, you know, and so help us God. I have, this is the detective's information right here. This is who I went to see. You know, he's got all the information right there. You can contact him. It's very discreet, and that way, you know, something can happen. It's just, we can't stand by. We can't stand by and not do nothing. This is the case number, incident number on the back. When you report it, to make it even easier. But if you use right there, I also put an email for myself in case anybody, for whatever reason, I was debating whether I should do this, but if you feel uncomfortable coming, you want to share. If it happened to you and you still don't feel comfortable stepping forward, if you want to email me, and I would love to be able to encourage you somehow. I mean, because I believe it's the right thing. I know. I mean, it's not even a debate for me. Biblically, I know it's the right thing. It has nothing to do with forgiving the man. I forgive the man. And actually, if we truly love him as Christians, because I've been hearing some of this on the outside, if we consider him a brother and we truly love him, sometimes the best thing to do with people that we say we love is to turn them in when it's depravities like this, because that's the only way that they will receive maybe the grace of God, because the way it is right now, it's not good. It's not good for him. You know, we won't turn our eye. We won't make a blind eye to, you know, to a murderer, let's say. We will never do that. And I know it's an extreme example compared to this, but I believe when this happens to children, it's a form of murder to them too. So this is my email address if anybody feels uncomfortable with reporting it directly there first. But the main thing I would like this is only if you need to or want to, but please get a hold of the detective and take it from there. And then let justice have its due process, and let's do the right thing. I hope that people can find the courage inside themselves and do what's right. And let's stand up for our children. Let's stand up for our children and not let these depravities happen anymore. We have a duty. We have a duty as adults. We have a duty as humans, as just common human decency. And then when we get to the Christian point of it, I mean, for me, that's not even debatable. We have the biggest duty as Christians to not stand by idly and let depravities like this continue on and happen. Thank you all for your time.